3 superpowers of light chosen ones you're not using yet. There's something extraordinary happening beneath the surface of your life, and most people will never realize it. But if you're watching this, it means you're not most people. You feel it, don't you? That strange pull, that quiet knowing. The sense that you are capable of something far more powerful than what you've been taught. And that you're not just here to survive, fit in, or go through the motions. You're here to awaken something ancient within yourself, and to remember something that the world tried to make you forget. You're a light chosen one, and while that might sound like a title from a fantasy novel, I assure you it's real. Not everyone is built the same, but some are born to maintain systems, others are born to challenge them. But a rare few are born to rewrite the entire frequency of reality. You are one of those few. And today I'm going to show you how you've been sitting on powers you haven't even begun to use. Let me take you back, before the world told you who to be. Before you were shaped by school, society, fear, and failure. When you were pure awareness, pure presence, and that version of you still exists. It's not lost, it's just buried under layers of conditioning, trauma, and distraction. And the first superpower you've forgotten how to use is your ability to bend reality through energetic alignment. I'm not talking about positive thinking or manifesting a car or a lover. I'm talking about your ability to literally reprogram the field around you by shifting your inner frequency. You've probably felt it before, those moments when you're so clear, so present, so tuned in that things just start happening. You think of someone and they message you. You follow a gut instinct and it leads to a breakthrough. You release a belief and your entire external world reorganizes itself. That's not coincidence. That's your field speaking. That's your vibration bending time and space.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
But here's why most light chosen ones don't use this power. They still think they have to earn their worth. They still think they need permission to be powerful. They believe that transformation happens through effort, hustle, and struggle. And while those things have their place, they're not what activates this superpower. What activates it is coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are in alignment with your higher truth, you become a tuning fork for miracles. You don't chase, you attract. You don't force, you flow. You don't beg reality to change, you command it by becoming the embodiment of the frequency you desire. And that leads us into the second superpower you're probably not using, your voice as a vibrational weapon of truth. Let me ask you something that might shake you. When was the last time you spoke with your full soul present? Not to please, not to perform, but to pierce illusions and to break spells, to liberate. Your voice is not just sound. It's spirit in motion. When you speak from your soul, not your ego, you literally shift the energetic architecture of your environment. The reason so many light chosen ones feel voiceless is not because they have nothing to say, but because they were trained to stay silent. From an early age, you were probably punished for being too much, too intense, too sensitive, or too honest. You learned to dim yourself to keep the peace, to be liked, to survive. And in doing so, you disconnected from one of your greatest weapons, your frequency-encoded voice. But when you reclaim that voice, when you speak with conviction, clarity, and truth, you don't just express yourself. You activate others. You awaken dormant codes in people. You remind them of what they forgot. This is why your words matter. not just what you say, but the energy behind it. But when your voice is aligned with your essence, it becomes a transmission, a portal, a spell breaker, and you don't have to shout. You don't have to convince. You just have to speak truth, not from fear, but from presence. That's how you reclaim your voice as a tool of divine disruption. Now, before we go deeper, I want to share something personal. There was a time I forgot who I was. I had all the signs, deep intuition, vivid dreams, synchronicities, mystical encounters, but I was still living in fear, doubting myself, shrinking around people who couldn't meet my light. I thought maybe something was wrong with me. But then I had one moment, one still, silent, sacred moment where I remembered. Not with my mind, but with my body. I remembered the mission, the promise, the light I came here to hold. And in that moment, I reclaimed the third superpower most light-chosen ones never fully awaken, energetic sovereignty. This is the ability to hold your frequency no matter what's happening around you. To not be swayed by fear, manipulation, or external chaos. It's the superpower of being unshakable. And the reason most of us don't use it is because we've been programmed to outsource our authority, to give our energy away to media, to emotions, to people who don't know how to hold their own power. But sovereignty is your birthright. It means that nothing enters your field unless you allow it. It means your energy is not a sponge, it's a sun. You radiate, you don't absorb. And when you stand in that level of sovereignty, you become a force field for truth. You stop leaking energy. You stop explaining yourself. You stop playing small. You start living as a soul on a mission. So now the question becomes, what would your life look like if you fully remembered these three superpowers? If you stopped playing the character and started embodying the creator? If you stopped waiting for a sign and started being the sign? This isn't fantasy. This is who you were before the world told you to forget. The light-chosen ones are not here to be liked. We're here to lead. Not through control, but through coherence, through truth, through presence. And if you've ever felt like you're too much for this world, maybe it's because you are. Because you're not from this world. You're here to remake it, awakening the architect within, how to use your light to reshape reality from the inside out. There comes a point in your journey where you stop looking for external confirmation of who you are. You stop asking the world to tell you your value, your worth, your path. You begin to feel it, not as an idea, but as a living pulse in your chest, an ache in your soul that whispers, you didn't come here to follow blueprints. You came here to build them. That's what it means to be an architect of light. Not someone who waits for permission to create, but someone who remembers that creation is your nature. You are not the effect of this world, you are the cause. And when you truly awaken to that truth, you stop reacting to life and start recalibrating it from the inside out. Most people never realize they're creators. They live in reaction loops, responding to stimuli, shaped by fear, bouncing between belief systems that were never theirs to begin with. But you, the light-chosen one, were born with an internal compass that refuses to let you sleep through your own destiny. That compass is your awareness. And the moment you begin to turn that awareness inward, when you monitor not just your behavior but your vibration, your thoughts, your core frequency, you begin to see that the outer world is nothing but a projection of your inner field. That's not just a philosophy, it's physics. The field responds to the pattern you hold. Your dominant vibration is the architect's pen, and you've been holding it since birth. You just forgot how to use it. To reshape reality from the inside out, the first thing you must do is take radical ownership of your state of being. No more blaming the external. No more waiting for someone to save you. No more giving your power to illusions. You must become the master of your internal climate, because from that climate, your world grows. When you begin your day in alignment, tuning your thoughts to truth, your body to presence, your emotions to neutrality, you are literally recoding your energetic signature. And the more consistently you do this, the more your external life begins to reflect that frequency. This is not magic, it's mastery. But here's the part most people miss. The field doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you are. You can journal all day about abundance, speak affirmations into the mirror, visualize success, but if your nervous system is still wired for survival, if your subconscious is still running on lack and unworthiness, your field will reflect that. This is why the real work is not about performing spirituality. It's about becoming embodied truth. When you walk through the world as someone who knows they are sovereign, worthy, and connected to Source, you don't have to explain yourself. Your presence does the work. Your energy precedes you. You become a living broadcast of what's possible when a soul remembers its origin. And once you're anchored in that inner coherence, you begin to move differently. You no longer tolerate environments that drain you. You no longer entertain conversations that diminish your spirit. You no longer chase relationships that require you to abandon your essence. Instead, you magnetize. You draw in people, places, and opportunities that match your frequency, not because you're lucky, but because you've calibrated your field to wholeness. This is the power of the architect within you. You don't need to control the external when you own the internal. But let me be clear, this isn't about bypassing pain or pretending to be high vibe all the time. The real architect doesn't avoid shadow, they integrate it. They sit with discomfort, not as victims, but as alchemists. They know that pain is not the enemy, it's the portal. Every wound is an entry point into deeper embodiment. Every trigger is a map to a place within you that's asking to be met with compassion. And when you meet those places fully, without judgment, without resistance, you transmute them. You liberate the energy that was once locked in fear, and you redirect it into creation. That's how you rebuild yourself, not by escaping the dark, but by lighting it up from within. So ask yourself right now, what parts of me have I been avoiding? What emotions, beliefs, or memories have I labeled as bad or inconvenient? What if those are the exact energies I need to reclaim in order to become whole? You see, the light chosen one is not here to be perfect. You're here to be real, and realness means you're willing to hold light and dark in the same breath. It means you've stopped trying to be above it all and started owning the fact that you are both the storm and the stillness. The architect doesn't run from contrast, they use it. They see contrast as the raw data of creation, the clay from which new worlds are molded. And here's the most powerful truth of all. Once you remember how to architect your own inner reality, you begin to influence the collective field. Your coherence becomes medicine. Your alignment becomes a template. You walk into spaces and things shift because your energy commands it, but not from ego, but from embodiment, but from truth, from presence. You weren't meant to blend in. You were meant to change the geometry of the room just by being in it. And if you've ever felt like you didn't belong, maybe it's because you were never meant to fit in. You were meant to remind the world how to feel again. So I'll leave you with this. What kind of world are you building with your thoughts, your energy, your integrity? What would happen if you stopped waiting to be rescued and started living as the architect you already are? Because the truth is, reality is not fixed. It's fluid. It bends to the will of those who remember how to hold the light not in theory, but in embodied frequency. The hidden light language, unlocking the energetic code stored inside your DNA. You felt it, haven't you? That strange sense that there's something ancient inside you, something that doesn't come from anything you were taught, something that doesn't belong to the world around you. You've looked out at the chaos, the noise, the illusions that pass for truth, and deep inside, something whispers, "This isn't all there is." I remember something else. That whisper is not your imagination. It's the echo of your original self. It's the voice of your light codes calling you home. And now, it's time to unlock them. You see, you're not just a body, you're not just a mind. You are a multidimensional being encoded with frequencies, patterns, and intelligence far beyond what most people ever access. Your DNA isn't just biological, it's vibrational. It holds dormant codes, cosmic memories, and light language that has been waiting, literally waiting for you to arrive at this moment of awareness so it can begin to activate. These codes are not activated through logic. They're activated through resonance. Let me explain. Every time you encounter something that deeply moves you, an image, a sound, a truth that sends shivers down your spine, that's a code being recognized. It bypasses your brain and speaks directly to your soul. That's the hidden light language trying to awaken you. It's not about learning something new, but it's about remembering something ancient. Something you carried with you into this life long before you ever learned how to walk, before you spoke your first word, before you were taught what to believe. And this is where it gets powerful. Light language isn't just something you hear, it's something you emit. When you speak from the heart, when you move with intention, when you create from a place of purity, you are speaking in energy before you ever say a word. Your field becomes a broadcast. Your walk becomes a prayer. Your presence becomes a code that others can feel, even if they don't understand it consciously. That's why some people are drawn to you and others are instantly triggered. But it's not personal, it's energetic. You're carrying frequencies that either activate or disturb the unconscious. That's what it means to be encoded with light. You are a living language. But most of us have been taught to fear our own power. We've been conditioned to believe that if we can't explain it, it's not real. That if we don't have the right words, we shouldn't speak. That if we can't prove it, we should doubt it. But the truth is, your greatest transmissions will come from the spaces between words, from the way you hold yourself, from the clarity of your energy, from the silence you carry. You don't need to convince anyone of your light. You just need to trust it enough to let it speak through you. That's when your DNA begins to awaken. That's when the language locked inside you starts to rise, not in the form of information, but in the form of frequency. So how do you begin to unlock it? By following resonance. Follow what stirs your soul. Follow what opens your heart. Follow what feels like home, even if it makes no logical sense. The more you allow yourself to trust what moves you, the more you reclaim the pieces of yourself that have been scattered across timelines, lifetimes, and dimensions. And slowly, piece by piece, you begin to remember your original design. You begin to embody your light language not as something you speak with your mouth, but as something you live with your soul. Ask yourself this: What am I still doing out of obligation, fear, or conditioning? What would my life look like if I followed only what resonated with my truth? Because that's the path to unlocking your light codes, not through force, through frequency, and through surrender, through remembering. When you stop trying to be who the world told you to be, you begin to become who you already are underneath it all. And when that happens, when your field becomes clear, when your heart becomes open, when your being becomes aligned, you don't just change your life. You begin to change the world around you. People feel safer when they're near you. They feel more alive, more real, more themselves. Why? Because your light language is reminding them of their light. That is the true power of the light chosen one. You don't need to preach. You don't need to teach. You just need to be. And in your being, you become the portal, the code, the key. Walking portals. Why light chosen ones are the gatekeepers of the new earth. There's a sacred truth that few will ever fully grasp, not because it's hidden, but because it requires a level of presence most people never reach. And that truth is this: you are not here to wait for the new earth. You are the new earth, embodied. You are not a bystander in the awakening of this planet. You are a walking portal, an interdimensional bridge, a living reminder of a reality that already exists in the higher planes, but is waiting to be grounded, expressed, and anchored through you. That's why things have always felt different for you, why you've struggled to fit into systems that were never designed to hold your frequency. You came here to be the threshold, the space between worlds where the old dissolves and the new is born. What does it mean to be a walking portal? It means your very presence opens gateways. That your energy field is a living invitation to higher timelines. It means people come into contact with you and begin to shift, sometimes gently, sometimes violently, because your frequency disrupts their illusions. But you walk into a room and it feels like something invisible just changed. You don't even have to speak. Your field speaks for you. That's why you've always felt like your energy was too much or too intense. It wasn't too much, it was designed to break down density. You were never meant to dim. You were meant to transmit. But with that level of energetic power comes responsibility. Not in the moral sense, but in the energetic sense. You are now being asked to hold your field with intention, to stop leaking your light into people and situations that no longer align, to stop explaining your truth to those committed to misunderstanding it, and to stop waiting for the world to validate your path. Because the truth is, the world won't understand you until it begins to remember itself. And you are the mirror. You are the memory. You are the reminder of what it means to live in full coherence with soul. This is why your presence is sacred. When you walk with awareness, you're not just moving through space, you're activating it. You're recoding the land with your footsteps. You're healing timelines with your breath. You're blessing others just by witnessing them in their raw, unfiltered truth. You don't need to perform spiritual acts. You are the act. You don't need to seek transformation. You embody it. You've become the ceremony, the portal, the prayer. And here's the most revolutionary part. As a walking portal, you don't need to escape this world to bring in the new earth. You bring it here, through your integrity, through your choices, through how you love, how you speak, how you create, how you rest. Every moment becomes sacred. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to hold a higher vibration. You are no longer playing the game of separation. You're walking as unity consciousness in human form. But ask yourself this: where am I still living as if I'm powerless? Where am I still acting like the portal is out there instead of recognizing that it's me? Because the moment you own that you are the gatekeeper, everything changes. You stop waiting for signs. You become the sign. You stop chasing purpose. You embody purpose. You stop searching for the divine. You realize it's always been pulsing through your own skin, your own breath, your own being. That's what it means to be chosen, not because you're above others, but because you chose to remember when it would have been easier to forget. So now, the invitation is clear. Walk with intention. Speak with vibration. Love with clarity. But create with fire. And most of all, remember, you are not here to escape this world. You are here to remake it, breath by breath, thought by thought, frequency by frequency. But this is the new earth, not a place, it's a presence, and you are its gate. Because in the end, the greatest power of the light chosen ones was never in what we did. It was always in what we became.